Comparative Analysis of Divine-Human Interactions in Greek and Mesopotamian Mythology and Biblical Narratives. Introduction. Throughout ancient civilizations, narratives centering on divine beings engaging with humans have permeated their mythologies and religions. This essay explores the interactions between gods, giants, and humans in Greek and Mesopotamian mythologies, as well as parallels in biblical accounts, particularly those involving the Nephilim. Drawing insights from researchers like Michael Heiser and Chuck Missler, we will seek to understand the thematic and narrative similarities among these traditions, suggesting the possibility of shared cultural motifs. Greek gods and human interactions. In Greek mythology, the pantheon of gods was renowned for their capriciousness and frequent interactions with humanity, particularly through acts of fornication. Zeus, the king of the gods, was particularly infamous for his numerous affairs with mortal women, often disguised as animals or other entities, to seduce his victims. Examples include his transformation into a swan to seduce Leda, and his approach as a bull to win over Europa. These liaisons led to the birth of many demigods and heroes, symbolizing both divine favor and human limitation, as the offspring often bore characteristics of both their parents. The presence of giants, such as the Titans and the Gigantes, also figures prominently in Greek myth. These beings were often portrayed as antagonists to the gods, embodying chaos and rebellion against divine authority. The Titanomachy, the epic battle between the Olympian gods and the Titans, highlights themes of struggle and the cyclical nature of divine sovereignty. Here, the giants symbolize the primal forces opposed to divine order, which further enriches the narrative of divine-human interaction through their opposition to the divine. Mesopotamian giants and divine-human interactions. Turning to Mesopotamian mythology, we find similar themes illustrated through figures such as Gilgamesh, who is depicted as a demigod possessing both divine and human traits. The Epic of Gilgamesh reveals the hero's interactions with gods and his quest for immortality, highlighting a complex relationship between humanity and the divine. Additionally, the concept of Anunnaki, a group of deities in Sumerian mythology, also play significant roles in human affairs. These gods were believed to have descended to Earth, influencing civilization and culture. In some interpretations, these encounters also involved reproductive unions, resulting in beings that possessed both divine and human attributes, paralleling Greek myths of demigods. The giants in Mesopotamian literature, like the Lamashtu and the Galu, along with narratives of semi-divine heroes, reflect an ancient view of the universe as populated by beings of varying power and influence, echoing the conflicts found in Greek myths regarding divine rivalry and the nature of humanity. Biblical narratives and the Nephilim. In biblical texts, particularly the Book of Genesis, 6:1-4, we encounter the mysterious figures known as the Nephilim, often interpreted as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. This passage has been the subject of much scholarly debate, particularly regarding the identity of the sons of God. Some interpretations align with the idea of divine beings or fallen angels who descended to earth, similar to the gods in Greek and Mesopotamian narratives, whose progeny are exceptional beings, exhibiting traits of both humanity and divinity. The Nephilim are often described as giants, symbolizing a corruption of humanity's purity and a deviation from the divine order, akin to the giants of Greek and Mesopotamian lore, who exist in opposition to the gods. The ensuing narrative of divine retribution through the flood further emphasizes the tension between the celestial and the terrestrial, as God intervenes to restore balance to a world threatened by these hybrid beings. Comparative themes. When comparing these mythologies and narratives, several thematic parallelisms emerge. 1. Divine-human hybridity. In Greek mythology, the offspring of gods and humans carry the potential for greatness, but are often trapped in their dual natures, leading to tragic outcomes. Similarly, the Nephilim possess a hybrid nature, which culminates in devastation, as depicted in the Genesis narrative. 2. Divine retribution and order. Both Greek and Mesopotamian mythologies present the idea of divine conflict and the need to maintain sacred order. Giants and rebellious figures represent chaos, prompting divine intervention to restore balance, akin to the flood narrative in the Bible, where God purges the earth of corrupted hybrids. 3. Cultural transmission. The similarities may point to shared cultural origins or responses to similar existential questions. Humanity's relationship with the divine, the nature of heroism, and the consequences of transgression. Michael Heiser's examination of ancient Near Eastern texts and Chuck Missler's insights into the Genesis narrative suggest a continuum of these archetypal stories, spanning across civilizations, reflecting a collective cultural memory and human experience. Conclusion. The various narratives surrounding divine beings, giants, and human interactions across Greek, Mesopotamian, and biblical texts reveal a complex web of shared themes and motifs. The gods' fornication with humans and the rise of hybrid progeny like the Nephilim underscore humanity's duality and the inherent tension between the divine and human realms. These common threads across different cultural landscapes suggest a unified exploration of mortality, divinity, and the struggles that define human existence, illuminating the ancient world's views on the interplay between the celestial and terrestrial. The works of scholars like Michael Heiser and Chuck Missler provide critical frameworks to understand these connections, affirming that these seemingly disparate mythologies may be more closely related than previously believed.